Welcome to Defeating Debt, an educational program sponsored by your credit union, BCU, in collaboration with your employer, Boston Scientific. This program is one of a series of BCU financial programs and offerings that can earn you incentive points upon your successful completion and will be considered within the on-site activity category through the A Healthy Me Wellness Program. Today, we are going to cover one of the key elements of financial well-being, debt repayment. Specifically, we'll discuss how you can break the debt cycle, efficiently pay off your bills, and take the steps necessary to master your money. With credit so available and so convenient to use, it can be easy to fall into a cycle of debt. Every week or two, when it's payday, you diligently make payments on all of your bills. Then, a few days later, as your expenses start to add up, you run out of money. So you pull out credit cards to make ends meet to get you through to the next paycheck. Then payday comes and you make your payments again, only to repeat the cycle. You might never miss a payment or even be late. However, each month your balances increase, plunging you deeper into debt. If this sounds familiar, don't worry. There are ways to break the cycle and get your debt paid off. In order to break the debt cycle, you'll need to take a close look at what's happening with your finances. After all, if you're depending on credit to get you through each month, you're likely spending more than you're bringing in. The first step is to look closely at your debt. Who do you owe? And how much? What are the minimum payments? When are your due dates? Have you been paying on time? Or do you have late fees or over the limit charges? What are your interest rates? How about annual fees? You should be able to find all of this information by looking closely at current and past statements. Whether in hard copy or online, list all the information and add it up. Don't be afraid to analyze your debt. What you are doing by organizing all of your information is setting yourself up to better understand your starting point, especially if you've never added it up before. You need to know what to aim for. $5,000, $20,000, $50,000, or more. Remember, if you aim at nothing, you will hit with amazing accuracy. What about the debt you don't get bills for though? Like old debts you aren't sure what happened to. This is a good time to deal with them too. For these, you'll need to check your credit report. You can get one for free from each of the three major credit reporting agencies, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, through annualcreditreport.com. Pulling a credit report is not everyone's favorite fun thing to do, especially if you're nervous about old debts potentially lurking there. But remember, knowledge is power. Once you get your reports, take a look at any old accounts that may be outstanding. Accounts older than 7 years likely have already dropped off the report. Others may be close to aging off. However, if you have some old accounts that are going to be sticking around for a while, you may want to add them to your repayment strategy. Once you know exactly who you owe, how much you owe them, and how much it's costing you in interest, it's time to take action. There are two major factors that impact the cost of debt. One is the interest rate and any fees that may go along with it. A high rate, especially with a high balance, can cost you big bucks. For example, the average household with credit card debt owes nearly $16,000, with an average of over $2,600 going towards interest each year. By getting those rates down, you can save money and get out of debt more quickly. You have a few options to make that happen. These are most likely to work if you have a pretty good credit history. The simplest strategy is to ask for better rates and terms. Creditors will sometimes reduce rates and eliminate fees upon request for good customers. If they are afraid of losing you to the competition, your creditors may find it worthwhile to cut their rates. If your creditors aren't willing to work with you, consider transferring balances to less expensive accounts or getting a consolidation loan to pay the balances. This requires some pretty strong self-control, however, to ensure you don't go back and use the old accounts. If you're not sure, you can fight the temptation, either close the old accounts or stash the card and the account number somewhere safe that you can't easily access. Tapping into your home equity through refinance or a home equity loan may be an option for eliminating credit card debt and taking advantage of lower interest rates. There may even be a tax advantage. Be aware though, if you choose that option, that trading unsecured debt for secured debt is inherently risky. If you hit on hard times and can't make the payments, you could be putting your home in danger of foreclosure. Also, you would likely be spreading out the payments over a longer period of time, which could cost you more in the long run. After you explore your options for reducing interest rates, start thinking about the second part of the equation. The second crucial factor in the length and cost of debt repayment is the size of your monthly payments. By paying just the minimum, it will take years and years to pay down the debt, and potentially cost you hundreds or even thousands in interest, even if you never use the accounts again. No matter whether you get paid once a month, twice a month, or every 2 weeks, it all comes down to having a plan for your money. Once you know where your money needs to go over the course of a month, it becomes a lot easier to figure out the timing of bills and how to make sure you don't leave yourself cash strapped from one pay period to the next. First, take a look at your household income. If you share finances with other members of your household, get them to participate too. Add up how much you bring home from all income sources. It's smart to be conservative here. If you get overtime or bonuses occasionally, but can't depend on it regularly, don't include it as ongoing income. Next, write down all of your expenses. Some of these are easy. You probably know what your rent or mortgage is and your car payment. Some of the other expenses might be tougher. Look at your accounts online or at your statements to see what you've been spending with checks or your debit and credit cards. Going back a few months to look at your spending habits will give you the best estimates. But what about cash? If you put cash in your wallet only to find that it mysteriously disappears by the end of the week, make notes in a small notebook or your phone whenever you spend it so you can see just where it's going. Like with income, everyone in the household who shares expenses should participate in this activity. Tracking what you spend serves two purposes. First, it lets you know exactly what's happening with your money so you can make choices going forward. Second, it adds accountability to your spending. Sometimes just knowing that you're going to have to account for an impulse buy can be enough to curb that expense. Smart money managers will find some room in their budget for emergency savings. It may seem crazy to sock away money in a low-interest, accessible account, but when the car breaks down, the roof leaks, or you have an unexpected medical bill, it's great to be able to turn to saving instead of credit card, particularly if your goal is to get out of debt. Even just a small amount each pay period or every month can add up to real security. To help make this practice a bit easier, have some money directed to a savings account automatically from your pay, or automatically transfer from your checking account. Consider the higher yield rainy day savings account from BCU for out of sight, out of mind savings. Once you've done your research and gathered all your numbers, it's time to put it all together. Subtract your expenses and minimum payments to your creditors from your income. If you have funds left over, congratulations. You're going to be able to take some steps to accelerate your debt repayment. There are two basic strategies to accelerate payments: the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. Both work really well, just choose the one you are most comfortable with. To use the debt snowball method, list all your debts from the smallest balances to the largest, regardless of the interest rates or the finance charges. Every month, pay each creditor the minimum payment, except the one with the lowest balance. For that one, pay the minimum plus the cash surplus you found when you compared your income and expenses. You'll find that the first debt will get paid off pretty quick. Once that's paid off, you can add the minimum payment for that first debt to your cash surplus. Then continue to pay the minimum payment to each creditor and apply the new cash surplus amount to the next smallest balance. As you continue with this process each month, your smaller balances debts will be eliminated quickly and you'll be able to make ever larger payments until your debt is repaid. This method is great for motivation because you get the ongoing gratification of having fewer creditors over the time. It's an especially good choice if you have a lot of creditors and feel overwhelmed with managing all of the payments. The debt avalanche is a similar plan, but with a bit of a different focus. Like with the debt snowball, you list all of your debts, but this time, instead of according to balance, you list them according to finance charges. Most expensive first. This isn't the same as simply ranking the debts by interest rate, as a high rate on a small balance may cost you less in each month than a moderate rate on a high balance. So, check your statements to see the dollar value of what those rates are costing each month and rank them based on that. From there, it's a similar strategy to the debt snowball. Each creditor gets the minimum payment, with the most expensive creditor getting the minimum payment plus the cash surplus from your budget. Over time, however, the most expensive creditor may change as the balances drop, so you'll need to monitor the dollar value of the finance charges to make sure you're always attacking the most expensive debt. The debt avalanche is more work than the debt snowball method. It also lacks the excitement of knocking off creditors as quickly. However, it will save you the most money, and there's a lot of satisfaction in that. Neither of these debt repayment strategies are as effective without committing to directing your cash surplus to them constantly. By keeping the payments the same over time and not reducing them as accounts pay off, you can see major balance reductions quickly. One other caveat though, if you keep using the accounts, you're not going to pay them off. What if there's not enough money to put toward debt repayment? After all, there's a good chance that if you've been supplementing your income by paying your expenses with credit cards, it's because you're struggling with cash flow. If you've subtracted your expenses and minimum payments from your income and come up with a negative number, you're going to have to make some changes. One place to look for change is in your income. Not just for you, but for your family members as well. Is everyone who can contribute to the household doing so? Is everyone taking advantage of overtime hours when possible? Does anyone have the time for part-time work or the skills for freelance projects on the side? Maybe you have assets you can liquidate. While not all of us have vacation homes to sell or spare boats lying around, take a look at some assets you have and see if there are any you'd be willing or able to part with for a profit. Those cartons of old records in the attic or the stamp collection your great uncle gave you could generate some cash to move you closer to freedom from debt. Be aware that you might have tax consequences from asset liquidation, especially for larger ticket items, and speak with a tax professional before doing so. Speaking of taxes, check your withholdings. Do you have extra money withheld each pay period so you can get a fat refund? If so, you may want to change that strategy and get that cash in your paycheck so you can direct it towards balancing your budget and getting out of debt. Just don't go overboard and end up owing the IRS at the end of the year. That would certainly throw out your plan off track. The IRS website, irs.gov, has calculators to help you figure out just the right amount to withhold. For many people, it's a simpler proposition to look at changing spending rather than increasing income. To get started, examine every expense. Typically, we break expenses down into two categories, essential and discretionary, and think of these essentials as being set in stone. Here, we're talking about the things like a mortgage, car payment, utilities, and other monthly demands. However, by being creative, there may be room to free up some cash in these areas. Do you have equity in your home and decent credit, but a high mortgage rate? In this current lending environment, you might be able to refinance and lower your monthly mortgage payment. You might even be able to refinance your car loan to lower the monthly payment. Many utility companies even offer budget plans where the monthly payment is consistent instead of variable year-round. That can help with money management planning and take the sting out of the bills during the times of year that you have particularly high heating or cooling expenses. What about discretionary expenses? These are the areas in which most people have more flexibility. What are you spending on now that can be reduced, eliminate, or substitute, or postpone? Look at what you and everyone in your household has been spending and have an honest discussion about what's necessary. If everyone is on track with the same goal of debt repayment, then perhaps everyone can make some sacrifices to help the household's bottom line, whether that be giving up that fancy coffee drinks, lunches out, newest basketball shoes, or whatever the expenses may be. One of the most important parts of deciding which expenses to cut is to differentiate between wants and needs. There are certainly essential things we need to spend money on. Then there are the things you just want to spend money on. If you're more motivated to balance your budget and get out of debt than you are to spend on those wants, the choice becomes pretty clear. Sometimes, though, wants can masquerade as needs. For example, you need a car to get to work. You don't, however, need a fully loaded, top-of-the-line luxury car to get to work. A safe and reliable car is a need. The fancy car is a want. The same philosophy can apply to clothes, food, entertainment, and just about anything you spend your money on. Keep working through your priorities as you examine your income and expenses until you're able to come up with a balanced spending plan. Like with any lifestyle change, making the necessary adjustments to live within your means and focus your funds on debt repayment can be challenging. Set goals along the way and include some small rewards in your budget for reaching those goals. Think about what your life will look like without having debt hanging over you. Talk to the members of your household about how free you'll all feel once the stress of debt has been lifted. And once it's paid off, you can decide what to do with that money. Save for the future, plan a vacation, send the kids to college. Whatever is most important to you. Sounds like a lot to do, doesn't it? It is, but like with everything else, by getting started now and taking it one step at a time, you can get out of debt and achieve financial wellness. What can you do today? Pull out all of your statements or find them online and record all of the important information. The balances, payments, due dates, and interest rates. If you're not sure who you owe, get your free credit reports from annualcreditreport.com. Next, look at ways to reduce interest rates. You can request lower rates from your creditors or look at balance transfer options to get those rates down. Remembering, though, to cut off access to those old accounts to resist temptation to run the balances back up. Set aside time this week to review your household income and expenses. Don't forget to earmark a bit to set aside an emergency savings account. BCU's Rainy Day Savings is a great option for this. Make adjustments to your income and expenses as necessary to ensure you have the funds to pay all of your minimum payments, plus a cash surplus to accelerate payments. Once you have your cash flow settled, choose your debt repayment strategy. Both the debt snowball, in which you target the smallest balances first, and the debt avalanche, in which you attack the most expensive debt first, are great strategies to get out of debt quickly. The key to success is to keep the payments consistent and to stop using the accounts in order to keep the balances going in the right direction. To set yourself up for success, get the tools you need to stay motivated. Envision yourself debt-free and loving it. What will you do with that cash once the payments are complete? Find a picture of what that will look like and post it somewhere you can see it every day. Talk to family and friends and ask for their support so you don't feel deprived. Build goals and rewards into your repayment plan to help keep you going. Finally, be sure to take advantage of the tools and support available to you. Your credit union, BCU, is committed to helping you achieve financial well-being through free educational resources and a full spectrum of financial services. Your credit union can help you overcome financial challenges and reach your goals. Boston Scientific wants to help you to understand your financial picture better too, and that is why they are collaborating with BCU in this partnership. Now that you have completed this video, go to this link to claim your BSC incentive points. Next steps regarding the incentive will be sent to your email address you have provided. Thank you.